Apparently, a bunch of people watch like 1 second of a YouTube video and then they just go away because people don't hook them fast enough.
This is where they're going away.
I'm putting soup in a donut, guys. You want to see how this works out. Welcome to an episode of Liz Bakes For You. I'm Liz, and today we are moving right along with But Make It Donuts. Because after pepperoni pizza last week, it seemed like a really good idea, and we just wanted to do it again this week. You may be wondering, or if you saw my little hint on Instagram, you may not be wondering what we're diving into this week. And I assure you that no one has made this donut. And I usually cannot say that confidently. I say very confidently, no one has made a Panera Broccoli and Cheddar Bread Bowl soup donut. But I am doing it. I'm doing it today. The sun went down while I did this, but I stayed committed, all right? I also unintentionally made one of the most beautiful donuts I've ever made in my life. How do I do these things? Well, you have to tune in to find out, which is what you're doing right now, and you should just keep watching. You don't have to watch me make soup. I just wanna keep that very clear. We're gonna start right in with the donuts. I have the dough done, we're gonna roll them out, and we're gonna fry them. I do fry for a long amount of time, but I think, for the most part, we'll edit that down. And then, we're gonna eat it, because obviously we eat it. At the very end of the video, I have solved the eternal problem of the Panera Bread Bowl, which is, what do you do with all of the bread once the small amount of soup is gone? But I have solved this problem. And I don't think you'll see this solution coming. So let's get started. The soup has arrived. I think first thoughts are, why is there extra bread with this? This thing is huge. I do remember it being quite large, but I'm pretty excited about this. We'll see if I can get a donut that's circular, spherical like this. But I don't know, let's try it. Now the idea is like that you eat the soup, or do you try and get like some of the bread?
Drink a little bit of the soup.
You know what's funny? This soup tastes very similar to the cream and chicken wild rice soup, which I also got a bowl of because that's what I really want. All right. So I think what we're aiming for is obviously something that can hold the soup without it falling out. And that also has enough extra bread action where you can still do a dip situation. I will not be making this. I will just be making this. So, I'm gonna eat. What do I do with this?
Take a bite out of it.
I can't. You just take a bite out of the bowl.
No, that's right.
We just had to like Boone seniors definitely like do a lap, and they were like on the volleyball team, so they're like a foot taller than me. And for you guys, Adam commented, they're walking past thinking, look at that old lady eating a freaking bread bowl. It's true, I'm wearing leggings too. I'm just like, I'm a product of my generation. I just don't know what to do with the rest of this. What do you do? There's so much bread. I actually think I've innovated here because this is now a taco. Oh God. We're starting with the dough's already done, basically, because we're jumping right into how to make this into a broccoli cheddar soup in a bread bowl. So I took my normal same day brioche recipe and I tweaked it slightly. So the first thing that I changed in order to get a sour flavor. Now, there was a flash in the pan of, I should do a sourdough starter. That happened about 5 hours ago today. And then I thought to myself, that's not realistic. You're filming this later tonight. You need at least, I don't know, a week for a sourdough starter. So I'm not going to do that. I also had a very dark period where I was trying to keep a sourdough starter alive last year. It was probably necessary in order to distract from like very raging anxiety. But that time has passed. I'm much calmer now, and it could just be because I've tuned out of a lot of things happening in the world. It's okay. I'm happier. It's nice. So this is not sourdough, is what I'm trying to say. But it is hopefully a little sour because I added 2 acids to it. I added lactic acid and citric acid. After that, I also swapped out one other thing. I swapped out the milk for water. And my hope with that is water is 100% liquid. Hear me out.
You know.
Hear me out. Milk is not. Milk has fat in it. So my thought is doing more straight up liquid into this could potentially introduce larger pockets of air happening, more similar to a bread bowl, more similar to like a French bread or something like that. A lot of like traditional breads are made with water. They're not made with milk. And don't worry, there's still some fat in here. There's butter, and there's also 2 eggs.
And there's going to be broccoli cheddar soup.
And there's going to be a cup of actually, there's going to be way less than you think of broccoli cheddar soup in this, because apparently they give you that giant bowl and it's like only a third soup. The last thing I'm going to do differently is I'm going to roll these out differently. My thought, I'm going to experiment basically. Real time experimentation. Oh God. I have a dog. I have a wire. Oh, okay. All right. Dough. This feels very similar to when I make it with milk and without acids, which, go figure. Actually, I want that. One more time. My first thought for the 3rd time is that I'm going to take this and I'm going to shape it into little spheres. I'm trying to think of the best way to show how this is different. So normally I would take this, I would roll it into a ball, I'd roll it out, and then I'd take a donut cutter or a biscuit cutter, some sort of circle, and go plop, 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 plop. However, I don't think that's gonna get enough sphere. I want these to be tiny little spheres. I've also acknowledged the fact that with this dough and with a donut in general, it just would not bake all the way through if I got the size that Panera has. Too big. Okay, so here's my idea. I take a little bit of dough, and instead of punching this out into a donut, what I'm gonna do is just basically bring it back together into a little ball. And you may have seen people do this before. It's a really great way to make, like, if you take this dough and want to make biscuits for like a tray bake, as they say on Great British Bake Off, for like your Thanksgiving dinner, you can shape, I weigh mine out because I want them to weigh all exactly the same. So you weigh your dough ball, you divide it by how many rolls you want, and that's how you weigh each individual one. And then you roll it into a circle like this. It comes back together on the bottom, and basically what you're doing is you're cupping your hand and you're applying a little downward pressure and just letting the table do the rest of the work. So this is my idea. Now this looks really tiny, and I don't really think he's gonna get like super big, but I more so want it to be as spherical as possible. So I'm gonna go on the tiny side. We're just gonna have like 10 little tiny bread bowls. So just in case my little spherical option doesn't work very well, because honestly I never make donuts like this. There are some shops that do. I think Supermoon makes their donuts with this method. I am gonna do a couple where I just roll out this dough and punch them out as I normally would. For safety. I got my water. I decided to forego any sort of fitted clothing today because I was like, listen, we're filming, it's hot. I had to make soup today. I was on the Facebook group earlier today for my donut letter masterclass, and I was suggesting to someone to get just this cutter out of this mix. It's a 3/4 inch. Very useful for letter donuts. And if you aren't in that class, because I didn't release very many of them, too bad. But also, I'm re-releasing it. So you may have your chance soon if you want to make letter donuts. That's gonna be weird looking. You see that?
Is it
because it was probably stuck to the table a little bit. And so when I cut it out, it sprung back. But I'll try that. I actually was really excited about going to Panera yesterday, because I used to go all the time.
I didn't live up to the hype.
I'm trying to think of what I always used to get the cream and chicken and wild rice soup, which they still have. But I also always used to get the Chipotle Chicken Sandwich, which they don't have anymore and is forever going to disappoint me. Because it was one of the best sandwiches. And I've had some of their new ones. You're like, well, have you tried a different one? I have. None of them live up to the Chipotle chicken. And my mom used to get the Chipotle sauce on the side for me because I didn't like spicy things. Oh yeah, we're gonna make it work.
Don't forget the tiny guy.
Boop. Okay, I hope one of these works. These are gonna take about an hour to rise, and we'll be back to fry them. So this week I've been developing a chocolate cake donut recipe on my Instagram. I was doing it in stories and in lives. That's what I do on Instagram if you're interested in that. But my regular pot of oil got extremely disgusting because the first trial, literally, it went in as a donut and it came out as crumbles. It was just one giant like poo explosion inside the oil. So the next day I got out the only other pot that was clean, which was this one. So yeah, that's why we're using the really tiny pot. These guys are massive, which is the problem. He's too big. I don't think I'm even gonna fry that one. But you see how they're way more domed, the ones that I did that way? Okay, so let's just pop that one guy in there. We're gonna fry one at a time because of the teeny tiny little pot.
Okay, we'll be for hours.
We'll be here for, oh, I got a hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20 minutes. We're filming at night again, so. 7 o'clock at night is when we're filming. Slightly puffier. This giant one is like froze into this other one and I'm really stressed about grabbing it out of there. So these are probably mildly cool enough, but you can see this is the one I rolled like a ball. Oh, sorry, let me do it over here so you don't see our dishes. And this is the one that I just cut out. So you can kind of see there's like a little bit more dome happening on this guy. Ah! Fuck, that's really hot. This one's really pretty. Like this donut is beautiful. This might be one of the most beautiful donuts I've ever made. Do you see this? I gotta take a photo of that one. He's not getting filled at all. I'm just gonna put him in a box. Put him on the shelf. Almost done frying, finally. When you fry one donut at a time, it takes a while. So I'm gonna get done with one more, and then we're gonna SOUPify them. That's the word this week, SOUPify. We are finally done frying after a very long amount of time, and I've run into a new problem, which is that I only have this size knife. Or this size knife. So when we went to Panera, effectively, it's just like, tick, 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 and then they like pull out basically like a big old button, big old knob of dough. So what do we think? We think tiny?
I mean,
this isn't as big. So I still need it to hold the soup, but I feel like I'm gonna do like maybe a little bit of a wider. These serrades are too big. Also the donut's kind of soft. Guys, that is a really good idea. I think this would probably work if the donuts were like cooled off for like an hour, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't have that kind of time. I need soup and I need it in a donut. Stat. Okay. So here I have a problem. Barely any soup's gonna fit in here. I'm gonna scoop it out a bit. Okay, I think I have a better area like of soup now for soup. So they give you your knob. And this is my homemade broccoli cheddar soup. It is nothing like Panera's. And that is, I say that with disappointment because it's like healthier somehow accidentally. Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna do the tiny one. Actually, this is a great candidate for the scissors. Scissors were like a really good move. We've already decided that this one though will never be filled.
This is too perfect.
I have to get a photo of it like this. I haven't actually tried this because this dough is different. Frodo, chill out, bud. Really getting hands-on here. This is a small bread bowl, and I don't know if we're including this footage or not, but probably we are. I had a really hard time with what to do with the bread bowl after you finish the soup because there's just like such an aggressive amount of bread at that point, and I had a bit of a struggle. You'd say a struggle. This is the solution. You make them bite-sized and you give people 20 of them. Still the same amount of bread, still the same amount of soup, but this guy's pretty small. Would you like a bread bowl, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you picked two.
That'll be $35. I put some really big broccolis on there for you. The idea of making a broccoli and cheddar bread bowl donut came to my filmer slash producer slash editor, what would you say, 5 months ago?
Yeah, well,
And at the time I thought, that sounds super dumb and we should do it. And then a bunch of other stuff happened and we didn't make it. But since we started the series of But Make It Donuts, we thought, of course, we have to make the bread bowl donut. Now, as you saw, I started off by doing a couple of things different with the dough. And I think it did add a little bit of acidity to the donut that wasn't normally there. I don't know if it gave it like, it's still a pretty dense dough. It's still not as like, I mean, I guess sourdough is kind of dense though, right?
yeah.
So it still didn't come out like, it's not straight sourdough, guys. It's still a donut. However, you fill it with soup and you eat it, similar experience. I would say, arguably, easier eating experience because the donut is way softer than the bread bowl. And I mean, calorie-wise, my broccoli cheddar soup in a bread bowl yesterday was 900 calories, so I think we're probably in the same ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
This is like slightly less food, probably. And if you go to Panera, just know that they don't serve it with chips. They serve it with an additional piece of bread, which was the most outrageous thing that happened at Panera yesterday, is that my bread bowl came with a piece of bread. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me today while I But Made It Donuts with a Panera bread bowl. I really enjoyed a nice little throwback to my childhood when Panera spread across the nation and made Melbourne really exciting to live in for like, I don't know, at least 2 years. We were all very excited about Panera. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of dumb thing to do on Thursday night. And be sure to like my channel, or no, like this video, subscribe to my channel. And also, if you enjoyed what I was talking about earlier, which was testing out donut recipes that you might actually want to make, although you should probably make these.
Yeah, you should make these.
If you want to try out other donut recipes that aren't weird conglomerations of like Panera meets my like mind and donut abilities, you can follow me on Instagram. And that is at Arlan_dough, but also mostly just follow me on here and like my videos. Okay, see you guys soon. You know, I met someone one time who didn't like dipping their bread in their soup. Like they're like, I like soup.
Is this the same person that didn't like berries, or the other person that didn't like sandwiches?
I don't want to call Adrienne out right now, but I have a feeling that that might have been something she said to me at one point. It might not be true anymore, and it might not have even been her, but someone definitely, I was like, well, you know, when you're eating soup, you gotta have bread. That's the rule, right? But when I said that to someone, they were like, oh, I don't like bread with my soup. And I was like, what do you mean? Well, as you said yesterday, how do you eat the soup if you don't have the bread?